This is Nate Peterson with my presentation for week 5. My presentation today will be on the HTML form action attribute and the method attribute. Now, these two attributes are required for setting up a form for server processing and for any type of data retrieval. And these attributes, the action attribute and the method attribute, control how the form data is processed whenever it is submitted, and these two attributes must be specified. And so we have the action attribute, first of all, which specifies the script file or location for processing when it is submitted. And this could be a PHP file or a JavaScript or something. As you can see here that I have the action attribute as form-action.php, and I've set that page up so whenever you hit the submit button on the form, it will go to that form-action.php file. And if no file is specified in the action attribute, then it will just submit to itself. So it's possible that you could have the form page be its own processing page as well, just depending on how you program it and how you set it up. But typically you'll want to include an action attribute with a separate form processing file or page. And the method attribute is how the form data gets sent to the server or to the page that's processing the data. And there's two possible items that you can use for the method attribute. And those items would be get and post. And we'll go over what each one means and how they're used. But if you use a post method, as I have here, then the data that is in the form that you submit will be posted to the action page. What that means is that it goes in with the HTML header, and it's not something you can typically see easily when you submit the form. Now, if you have the method of get, then it is something that the form data will be put into the URL as it goes to the form action page. And so we'll just go look at the code right here, and we have a form tag, and the action attribute as well as the method attribute are attributes of the form tag. And as you can see, I've got a form-action.php as the action and a method of post. So let's just go to the browser really quick and we'll see how this works. So I have a simple form set up here, and we'll enter a first name, say Nate, the last name of Peterson, and my email, I will just say test@test.com. And so if we go back, you can see we've got these form fields, client first name and client last name and client email, and then a submit button down here. So if we click the submit button, as you can see, it goes to the form action page, and we have retrieved the form data that was set up in the form. First name of Nate, last name of Peterson, and an email of test@test.com. And I've indicated here that this was a post retrieval. So let's go back to the code and we'll look at the form-action.php file. So what I've done here is I've got some conditionals set up, and this is just for purposes of this, is to determine whether it was a get or a post. And so you can see that the post data is retrieved using the _post variable, which contains all of the form data that was submitted. And so I look to tell whether the client first name was present in the post, and if it was, then I echo post, and then I output the first name. And if it was get, then I output the first name using the get method, and so on for both the client last name as well as the client email. And so let's go back and we will submit this again, but this time we're going to change the form.php method to get instead of post. So we'll just put this as get, save the file, and go back here and reload it. Okay, so this time we'll enter the same thing with first name of Nate, last name Peterson, and email of test@test.com, and we'll submit it. And this time you can see that as the get method specifies that the form data will be put into the URL string. And so these each represent the name value pairs for the form fields. So client first name equals Nate, and then a concatenation with the ampersand symbol. Client last name is Peterson, ampersand concatenation, and client email is test@test.com, and the %40 is the URL encoded representation of the @ symbol, so that it can be transferred or transported correctly in the URL. And as you can see that I have specified the get here to indicate that this was used, the form was output used using the get method. And so that's pretty much there is to know. But one thing that you need to know is that if you don't specify a method in your form method attribute, get will be used by default, and post will not. So if there is no method attribute specified, then get will be used by default. And this is all I have for my presentation. Hopefully you found it valuable and useful, and thanks very much.